that Spain helped America win the Revolutionary War? You'll be amazed to learn of the contributions from King Carlos III of Spain, New Spain Governor Bernardo de Galvez, the generosity of the ladies of Havana, and many others, as we discover how we got here.
At the beginning of the Revolutionary War, the American cause was desperately in need of finances. King Carlos III of Spain did not want to openly oppose Britain, so he covertly financed the American Revolution behind the scenes by working with Connecticut merchant Silas Deane. Together with France's King Louis XVI, Carlos III set up a front trading business in Paris called Rodrigue Hortalez and Company, through which he secretly supplied 5 million livres worth of materials and arms to the American colonists between 1775 and 1777. When the British blockaded the ports of the 13 colonies, the Spanish governor of New Spain, Bernardo de Galvez, sealed off the port of New Orleans to British ships, but let ships supplying Americans go through. Over $70,000 worth of military supplies, weapons, cartridge boxes, uniforms, and medicine came from the Caribbean through New Orleans up the Mississippi River to the Ohio River, then to Pittsburgh, and from there transported overland to Philadelphia to aid the Continental Army troops under the command of General Washington and Brigadier General George Rogers Clark. On June 21, 1779, Carlos III officially declared war against Great Britain, as did France and the Netherlands, resulting in Britain having to stretch its military even further. Spain and France laid siege to British-controlled Gibraltar. It was the longest siege the British had ever endured, using up valuable British military resources that would have otherwise been used to attack America. King Carlos III commissioned Galvez to organize forces against the British. Galvez assembled 32 ships and recruited soldiers from Spain, Cuba, Mexico, Santo Domingo, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Costa Rica, Canary Islands, free blacks, Indians, Creoles, and French Catholic Acadians called Cajuns. In August 1779, Galvez's Spanish forces, numbering 1,427, departed from New Orleans to defeat the British at Fort Butte in Bayou Manchac. September 21, 1779, they captured Fort New Richmond in Baton Rouge, and then captured Fort Panmure in Natchez, October 5, 1779, freeing up the lower Mississippi Valley from the British. Increasing his troop size to 2,000, Galvez took Biloxi and laid a month-long land and sea siege of Fort Charlotte in Mobile, capturing it on March 14, 1780. On the night of August 8, 1780, a convoy of British merchant vessels left the English Channel filled with military supplies, much of which was intended for troops in America. In the dark of night, Spanish Admiral Luis de Cordoba slipped his flagship between the lead British ship and the rest of the British fleet. Cordoba mimicked the signal shots of the lead ship to fool the British convoy into following him. When dawn broke, the British convoy was shocked to find they were surrounded. A British officer wrote, "At daylight, we found ourselves in the center of 30 ships of the line and 4 frigates. We tried to run, but found it impossible." It was one of the largest naval captures in history. 55 ships containing over 1 million British pounds of supplies, including 80,000 muskets, equipment for 40,000 troops, 294 cannons, uniforms, and gold bars. This Spanish capture deprived British troops of even more supplies that they had hoped to use against Americans. On February 12, 1781, Spanish soldiers traveled north and briefly captured Fort St. Joseph in Michigan. Galvez's actions prevented the British from attacking Washington's army from the west. With the help of Spanish Captain General Juan Manuel Cagigal and Spanish Venezuelan Captain Francisco de Miranda, Galvez led 7,000 Spanish soldiers in a 2-month land-sea attack against Fort George at the British capital of Pensacola, capturing it May 10, 1781. Ben Franklin and Marquis de Lafayette persuaded French King Louis XVI to send ships to help Americans. Frigate La Agrete docked at the port of Havana to obtain water and supplies to bring to Washington's army in Virginia. In September of 1781, Cuba's governor, organized a fundraising campaign. When Cuban mothers, the ladies of Havana, heard of Washington's plea for money, they raised an astonishing amount. Women from Havana to Matanzas to Pinar del Rio donated their gold, silverware, candelabras, jewelry equivalent to $28 million to help General Washington win the Battle of Yorktown. The ladies of Havana sent a note with their gift, so the American mother's sons are not born as slaves. When General Washington heard of the Cuban women's generosity, he reportedly threw his hat in the air. French General Rochambeau wrote in his daily memoirs, kept in the Library of Congress, the joy was enormous when it was received. The money from Havana, the contribution of 800,000 silver pounds, which helped stop the financial bankruptcy of the Revolutionary Army and raised up the moral spirit of the army that had began to dissolve. The money, together with the French fleet blockading British ships, allowed 17,000 Americans and French to force Cornwallis to surrender. In 1783, Bernardo de Galvez helped with the negotiations for the Treaty of Paris, which officially ended the Revolutionary War. Congress recognized him for his assistance in the peace process. In gratitude for his support, General Washington invited Galvez to ride with him in a Philadelphia Victory Parade, July 4th, 1783. Statues of Galvez are in New Orleans Spanish Plaza and near the U.S. State Department, Virginia Avenue, 22nd Street Northwest in Washington, D.C. A 15-cent U.S. postage stamp honors General Bernardo de Galvez, Battle of Mobile, 1780. Galveston, Texas, and Galvez, Louisiana were named for him. Congress awarded him honorary U.S. citizen, one of only 7 other people to be thus recognized. In recognition of Spain's contribution to American independence, the sons of the American Revolution welcomed those of Hispanic patriot ancestry.
American independence may not have happened without help from King Carlos III of Spain, Spanish Governor Galvez, the ladies of Havana, and the many courageous Spanish soldiers. We remain grateful for their sacrifice as we remember how we got here. For more information, visit AmericanMinute.com and TurningPointEd.com.